Welcome back to Benny's Custom Works, proudly supported by Valvoline and Sparesbox. Don't forget BCW5 on checkout. Straight up an announcement, we really want to welcome Permatex to the channel. We've been using Permatex actually for a while, off camera in the background and some on camera as well. I've actually shifted across to Permatex because it's actually a lot more readily available than some of the products we were previously using. But yeah, they're really good people to deal with. And you can actually buy Permatex all over the place, like I already mentioned, including Sparesbox. So if you want to check out the range of Permatex, jump on to sparesbox.com.au. Today, we're on a MOTOCOMPO, something a little bit different, 2 wheels this week. This is a fresh imported one out of Japan. Those with a keen eye may have seen this on Yahoo Auctions a while ago. But this one is not a runner at the moment. So also disclaimer, this isn't mine, this is a mate's. And it's not for sale, so relax internet. But the plan today is to get this one running, give it a bit of a service, the usual BCW treatment, give it a service and then get it back to zero, give it a check over and actually make it so that it can be rideable. There's already a few little things that I've noticed. There's some aftermarket weirdness going on in it. The air filter's missing, which is a bit of a bummer. It's got an aftermarket little pod filtery thing on it. But in saying that, it's probably a serviceable element, whereas the MOTOCOMPO ones, you need to replace the filter in them, and they're pretty much unobtainium in Australia. So. Not all bad. Another bit of a bonus too is the tyres are actually in really good condition, because the 2.5x8s you can't buy in Australia, you have to buy from Japan. I have bought them out of Japan before for a couple of customers and whatnot, but they can be hard to come across. So yeah, having good fresh tyres on this is a definite win. But yeah, we're going to basically strip the fairings off it, have a bit of a look at it, establish if it has spark or not. I do have a new spark plug. I've also got some driveline oil and some 2-stroke oil for it. So we're going to basically give this thing a full fill up. It's already got a fresh tank of fuel in it because I did try and start it yesterday just for fun. So we're going to dive in and start pulling it apart. Now, when you're pulling your MOTOCOMPO apart, you have to be really careful because a lot of these plastics are either no longer available or very expensive used. Basically, to take the lower fairing off, you need to remove this panel here, which the first time you pull it off is very nerve-wracking, but luckily I've pulled a few of these apart now. So I normally just kind of start working them loose. This one's actually a bit sticky. And yeah, basically they're just all clipped on and the clip's actually part of the trim. So just work it off. It does come off like that pretty easily. This, interestingly, is actually a security cable. I'm not sure what sort of thing you're going to secure with it because it's easily able to be cut with a bit of side cutters, but that's neither here or there. I guess it's more of a, in Japan, it's more of an honesty thing. You see it locked up, it's like, I'm not going to steal that because it's locked up, as opposed to someone going, oh, it's not locked up, I'll steal it, which is a weird concept anyway. But that's off. Take this side panel off. It's literally 3 bolts. This one actually still has the original bolts, so that's nice, even though it's been apart and been painted. Yeah, this one has been repainted slightly the wrong color. I guess it doesn't really matter if you just want to cruise around on your MOTOCOMPO and it'll still make all the right noises, but the previous owners masked all the old stickers and then just sort of given it a bit of a blow in. But yeah, the plastics are actually in pretty good condition on this, so I'm going to keep on going. This contraption is a spark tester. I think we might have used it on the channel before. I mean, it is really a car one, so it's not perfect for what I want to do with it, but it'll get the job done. So hopefully I can just sort of stick it in here and give it a bit of a kick, or a push as it were, and see if we have spark. Yep, plenty of spark. Be able to see this is effectively replicating the gap in a spark plug. It's much larger, it's 1/4 of an inch or 6.4 millimeters. So yeah, if you can jump that gap while cranking, it's obviously gonna jump a spark plug, no worries. So plenty of punch there. The issue we're looking for is not ignition related, but I will replace the spark plug while we're here. I mean, that plug is very, very average. It's probably as old as the bike. Okay, I think they must have put a capacitor where the battery used to be. These are really common to have basically just the batteries are old, and 95% of the MOTOCOMPOs you buy secondhand, the battery's going to be dead, including every one I've ever owned. Marty and Moog's ones, but both also had dead batteries. So we ended up getting, I think I bought like 5 or 6 batteries in Japan at one point and brought them all over, and every single MOTOCOMPO kind of in the crew got a new battery. But yeah, another way around it is you can put a capacitor where the battery is to basically just, the charging system will run the bike once it's running, but it allows things like the lights to work as well as run the bike. Whereas if you don't have the battery in place, it'll still run, but the lights don't really work. So yeah, if you want to kind of get it all sorted, you can put a capacitor bank in there. This actually looks like a commercially available kit, which is something I've never seen before. But yeah, it's something to sort of keep in mind when you're looking for a MOTOCOMPO, that you're going to have to, well, if you want to get it to 100% original, you're going to have to buy things like a battery and maybe some tyres. So along with actually paying quite a bit of money for these now, you probably want to allow a good $1,000 to actually service it and get it up to scratch, be it replacing tyres, putting a battery in it, or building some sort of capacitor setup. Another conversion I've actually seen too is using the old Tamiya 7.2 volt NiCad batteries, but they're not a great fit in there. I think someone else also used like one of the real small little sealed lead acid batteries, because these bikes are 6 volt, not 12. So yeah, it can be hard to find the correct battery, and from my experience, nothing available locally is actually going to fit. The closest thing I found was the Honda Z50 battery, but it still required the battery tray to get cut out pretty badly, and it didn't really fit properly, and it pushed the fairing out, so that kind of went by the wayside. But we'll keep on going. I'm probably just going to pull this carby off, which means we're going to have to pull the right hand side panel off to get the carby out, and then I'm just going to strip it and clean it. We'll probably actually put the carby in the ultrasonic bath, ironically, on my injector tester. So we'll give it a flush and basically put it back together and see how it runs, if it runs. I think that 90-degree elbow is for the stock airbox, and I think they've just added that filter onto the top of it, eh? That's the choke cable. That's our accelerator. So that's our fuel tap. Fuel will come out of the hose if we have fuel. So there's plenty of fuel going to the carby. The float bowl is empty, so to me that means that the needle and seat, or the needle is sticking on the seat. So we'll pull this carby apart and have a look inside, but I reckon there's no fuel getting into the engine at the moment. These little Honda carbies are super easy to work on.
Not sure of sarcasm.
No, they are. 2 screws and it's apart basically. Oh, yum. Well, there was something in it, but it definitely isn't fuel. There's really not much more we can actually pull out of this carby. Oh, it's horrid. I wish you could smell that on the internet. I'll leave that out so that we can clean that orifice. I reckon whoever's had this MOTOCOMPO at some point probably mixed oil in the fuel as well as using the oiling system, which basically is the wrong way to go about it. In saying that, I'll probably put a little bit of 2-stroke oil in the tank for the first time this thing runs, because it is good to get a little bit more lubricant. Just when you're pulling a 2-stroke bike out of storage, it's really important to actually pre-lube it. And I think putting a bit of 2-stroke oil in the fuel will help with that. Even though it is mechanically injected, or in this particular bike, mechanically fed into the carby, I think, yeah, it's not going to hurt. And for one tank, running a little bit of 2-stroke in the tank is definitely not going to hurt it. There's a weird O-ring and a washer on that seat, which there shouldn't be. Let's see how good my memory is. Not good. Let's try that again. There we go. Probably never been changed. It's really important if you've got one of these sort of scooter deals when they've got a wet clutch, which is in here. This is a centrifugal clutch, so it doesn't have a traditional style clutch like a motorbike would. This is basically a scooter really for all intents and purposes. But with that in mind, you need to use the correct oil. Now, the listing for this, it says that it uses a 30 weight oil in the driveline. So we've gone and got a 30 weight monograde oil. And it's really important with anything with a wet clutch to make sure that you don't have any friction modifiers in the oil. Now, this specific oil doesn't have it. This is actually designed for small engines and lawnmowers and whatnot. So effectively, it's in the right ballpark. So we're going to whack some of that in now. This driveline takes 500 millimeters, give or take, according to the sticker on the side here. So we're going to fill it up now. Probably spill half of it. So lucky I've got a whole litre of it, but we'll find a funnel small enough to fit in that spigot and fill it up. Well, that was easy. Needs a bit more idle. I've just taken it on its first test ride and I mean it works, but there's something funky going on in the front wheel where there's something loose. Oh, it's actually just the front wheel that actually is loose. Oh, look, it's fixed. Or something a little bit different this week with the MOTOCOMPO. These things are always a good bit of fun to work on. This thing's running pretty sweet now, so I'm going to take it for another lap. Massive thanks again to Permatex for coming on board with the channel. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff with those guys this year, both on and off the channel, so you'll be seeing more of that later. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time. Will it start? Hey.